Honorable Sols.
Thank you very much. No, just in addition to this which has been said now, there is a letter or an affidavit that which the General says was written by the National Commissioner on the 4th of July to him as the Provincial Commissioner of KwaZulu-Natal. Understanding that the second witness is the National Commissioner, can that also be made available as part of the bundle? So that we're able to Thank you, Chair.
Agreed. Honorable Sols.
Chair, a part of whose evidence will that letter be?
I beg yours, Honorable Member, I haven't heard you.
The letter that Senior Counsel is making reference to, we are dealing with the witness statement from General Mkhwanazi. The letter that Senior Counsel is referring to.
Or the letter from
someone has.
Meridi has.
Yes. A part of whose evidence is that letter?
Yeah.
Because we are dealing with General Mkhwanazi's witness statement. It's not part of General Mkhwanazi's witness statement. So whose evidence is that letter part of? It can't be an annexure to this either. Is the Senior Counsel now submitting his own evidence?
Did you hear the question, Senior Counsel? The Honorable Member is asking the letter from Meridi Haas, which is the basis of your questions, to the defense that maybe the minister will possibly give. Who deposed that letter with yourselves?
That letter is going to be annexed or part of Minister Mkhwanazi's statement, and to be dealt with in his evidence when he gives evidence to this committee. But we thought it prudent, and it was discussed with the General during our consultations, that we would also put the version of other witnesses who are still going to testify to him for his comment. That's the sole purpose. I'm not seeking to introduce the letter. In fact, the letter was then in consultation shown to General Mkhwanazi, so he has seen the letter. I don't want to make a further issue of it. All I'm putting to him are 4 reasons that Minister Mkhwanazi has given to us as to why or what informed his decision of 31 December 2024 for his comment.
Yeah.
The one was the WhatsApps, which we also don't have. The 2 was the Hahn letter. The 3rd was budget, which we did discuss with him and which he's aware of. And the other one was a work study, which again, we don't have we have a copy and we have sight of it, but it's not annexed at the moment to any affidavits.
I understand where you are coming from, that you might have understood that General Mkhwanazi may not have time again with the committee to respond to whatever could be said in his absence. But ideally, if the members had a sworn statement from Minister Mkhwanazi, it was going to help them, because they will be understanding where your questions come from, to say, General Mkhwanazi, in your absence, the following may be said. And at that time, you may not have chance to answer for yourself. So, but in the absence, you become his advocate. So it must be him or his statement speaking for himself or on his behalf. But if it becomes you speaking for him in the absence of his statement, it becomes unfair to the general. And I don't know if, for instance, because if we don't have it, means he also does not have a copy of that statement which Minister Mkhwanazi would have made with you during the consultations. And I think that is exactly the point that members are raising to say, we don't have those documents, and it becomes difficult for us to follow the proceedings in the absence of those documents. Can I take Honorable Sango and Honorable Sols, Honorable Malebo?
Thank you, Chair. Unfortunately, I think this goes back to the question that I had asked on the procedure. I want to be sympathetic to the senior counsel to say that given the fact that he believed that the general would not be available to answer, he then took this approach. But it's neither procedurally correct, nor is it fair both to the committee as well as to the general. And listening to the SC now, it seems like there's a lot more issues that he still wants to introduce which do not form part of the general statement or our bundle. And that is why I had asked, are we getting supplementary affidavits from the general? Because had we done that, then we would have all these other issues that he was requested to answer. Now we're sitting with absolutely nothing, and it doesn't assist. And I'm worried that if the remainder of the questioning is based on all these other affidavits that the evidence leaders have seen that we don't have, then it's an exercise in futility because we would not be able to engage with that. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Sols.
Chair, the assumption would then be that this letter that we are talking about has been a consultation with the minister. A consultation that we have not been a part of, a consultation that the documents we have not seen. Now, senior counsel extracts one letter out of the entire consultation and deems it necessary to be asked here when we are dealing with what General Mkhwanazi has submitted. It is a material wrong, Chair. Even if we get that letter later, that letter forms part of the statement of the minister. It is at that time when we must deal with that issue, not here.
Honorable Malema.
Chair, we have been observing and we thought we must not interrupt. This process must just flow as is, but where there is material crisis, we need to intervene. Evidence leader. This is General Mkhwanazi's evidence. You lead him on that. You don't come across as if you are now cross-examining him instead of leading him. If they had a discussion with General Mkhwanazi, they should have put that in this package and lead him on that. And when you lead him on that, you make reference, go to annex what. Are you there, General? What is your take on this matter? Not wanting to shock him in the process and shock all of us, and then still be an evidence leader. I think you captured it correctly when you say the SC now becomes the advocate of a minister, that the minister is going to come here and say 1, 2, 3. Let's lead General with what we have before us, which they have accepted, that it's enough for him to come and answer questions here, and not talk about things that are not before us, and tomorrow they don't even come. So please, let's leave that line of questioning and let's proceed.
Honorable Skosana.
Thank you, Chair. You know, I thought we were back. We are going to flow. And it's unfortunate that it appears now that our evidence leader is bringing something which we don't have as members. And General Mkhwanazi doesn't have as well any knowledge. And it's quite disturbing that our evidence leader looks like now he's defending the minister who's suspended or who's on special leave here in his absence. I think it would be fair if there's any information, let's have this information too. Like my colleague is saying that it's like now he's an advocate for the minister, and it's not fair, Chair. Let's be beyond reproach. Even if there's other things, please, but let's try to avoid them. The suspended or the special leave minister is not here, and we don't have any document about him as yet. Hence, we agreed as a committee to have the General Mkhwanazi to appear first before anyone here. But we never anticipated this. We never anticipated this. And honestly speaking, Chair, we don't want to be a laughing stock of this nation. We can't allow this thing to really going on with impunity and unabated here. It's unfortunate. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much. Senior Counsel, do you want to say something?
No, thank you, Chair. I'll proceed on to the next topic.
Yeah, but let me say this to you. When we came back at 3 o'clock up until the time we broke for dinner, we did very well. Your work has been very impressive. And I want to say to you that sometimes even the best defenders score own goals. But the moment of conceding an own goal must not take your quality away from you. Raise your head and face the next game. Let's proceed.
Sorry that I'm performing like my team, but maybe I'll support another team tomorrow. Sorry, may I proceed on to the next topic?
Yes.
Thank you. General, again, sorry about that. Can we go to the meeting that was held before the Portfolio Committee on the 5th of March? You deal with it at, it's at paragraph, or at page 22 to 26 of your affidavit. You'll see on page 22, paragraph 44, the background and status of the political killings task team was on the agenda. Details of your interview, which we've already touched on Police Day 2025. That was in January, was it 25 January? So in that meeting, if I may direct your attention to paragraph 48, where you say, I also took the opportunity to address the committee and raise concerns that I had regarding a close associate of the minister, Mr. Brown Mkhwanazi, who, although outside of the SAPS, was in possession of confidential information relevant to the SAPS. My exact comments are as follows, and the quote is on page 23 and 20 and in 24 and ends at 25. You recall those comments?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Do you want to comment on it any further?
Yeah, well,
Or do you can look at your affidavit at paragraph 49 and 50 and 51. Yeah, the 51, which is on page 26.
I'm not sure if I follow you. So you want me to comment about what I presented or the response from the minister? The paragraph you're referring to is 49.
Well, what you said and perhaps an opportunity if you want or explain further, then feel free to do that. And also, yes, then address the minister's response during that meeting and his response subsequently.
Yeah, but perhaps, Chairperson and honorable members, if I were to summarize here, when we appeared before the Portfolio Committee on the 5th of March 2025, a presentation that I made verbally, which I think ran just over 40 minutes, I was raising issues that were dominating in the media space, honorable chair and members. The incidents that seems to paint a negative picture towards the organization, and in the main, focusing at crime intelligence. There were some also negative things that were directed at individuals within the South African Police Service, including myself, that I was talking about. So I narrated in details in terms of what got into the media space that came from the incident of a correctional service in KZN, and what came to the space with regard to the incidents that are happening in investigations that have been dealt with by the team in Gauteng. But more importantly, Commissioner, Chair, Honorable Chair and Honorable Members, I wanted to bring to the attention of the Portfolio Committee the involvement of someone who's not a police officer on the matters of the police, on the affairs of the SAPS, and that was Mr. Mkhwanazi. And I narrated in terms of how he came to be known by myself and what I since learned about his involvement in the business of the SAPS. And I presented that in the presence of the executive of the police, from the minister, deputy ministers, and as well as the National Commission before the parliament. So it was my hope that when we are presenting such, that there is someone who's not a police officer that has got access to police things, sensitive things, that the attendees in the meeting are going to take that serious going forward. And when I also spoke on that meeting, I made mention of the bad things that were happening at crime intelligence, according to my experience, that happened in 2011, 2012. And I drew parallel to what was happening then as compared to what is happening now. That beside the National Commission had made his opening statement on the very same meeting on the 5th, where he mentioned that when we are trying to deal with the bad ones at crime intelligence, those that are so used to benefit illegally within the resources of the state at crime intelligence, and the only way to counter the action that the management is taking against them is to invite the media and invite the so-called whistleblowers, invite the people that are very vocal and have got a lot of followers out there, including some journalists, to start spreading lies. And unfortunately, the lies that have been spread, the members that's supposed to pause and investigate, they don't do that, they believe it. And when they believe it, it then damages the institution as a whole. So I wanted to indicate that, Honorable Chair and honorable members, that we have experienced this in 2011, and it's happening again now. We should ask ourselves a question as to why is it happening? Something must be done. For my response then to be addressed in a manner that the minister responded by simply say, I'm no associate to the person that General Mkhwanazi is referring to, and it ends there. It was rather disappointing. Because I'm presenting evidence that says here is a man who talks about police secret things. He sends me WhatsApp. In his WhatsApp, he attaches presentations of crime intelligence. and he tells me about general cans that are in meetings that I must ask them for further details of presentations. And then you ask yourself, but we have general cans in crime intelligence that are part of meetings. Why a person is not in the police has that information? It simply says someone in the meeting is sharing this information to a person outside the meeting. So it was a worry. So that's what I can summarize here, that in short, bringing this thing to the attention of the portfolio committee was to trigger an action that, although it was not in presentation form on black and white submitted to the portfolio committee, but it was to trigger the further interrogation of these allegations that I'm making. But I must say, maybe it happened, I don't know. I was never invited after that to date until, well, the 6th of July. I must say, Honorable Chair and members, I'm glad we did that on the 6th of July because we're invited here now to elaborate more on this, which I thought we would have done it on the 5th of March.
So in paragraph 51.1, you provide further evidence, investigations and analysis of Mr. Matlala's cell phone point to a deeper association between Mr. Mkhwanazi and Minister Mkhwanazi, an association the minister had at first categorically denied at the Parliamentary Portfolio Committee meeting on the 5th of March. You confirm that?
Yes, I confirm.
And then at the second subparagraph, through a series of WhatsApp conversations between Matlala and Mkhwanazi around the time the minister issued his directive to the National Commission on 31 December 2024, the only reasonable inference that can be drawn is that Mkhwanazi and Matlala were aware of the minister's directive, which amongst others aimed to disband the PKTT immediately.
That's correct.
So that is an inference that you draw, which you say is reasonable in the circumstances when you put the WhatsApp conversations together with the directive of 31 December 2024. Is that right?
That is correct.
Then, if I may just also, in terms of, this is still on the meeting of the 5th of March. The Annexure General and Honorable Members is NSM 7. NSM 7, it's pages 82 to 222. It's the transcript of the Portfolio Committee meeting. And I want to ask you to turn to page, it's 217 of the paginated bundle, the one on the right top, or page 133 of the actual transcript. You got it?
Yes.
Thank you. So if you see there at the middle of the page, you say, so Chair, I don't want to be long there before, and we've been there before. That's why even to date, the National Commissioner and myself, General Khumalo, are still regarded as the bad ones. It was no surprise, Honorable Chair and members, when I heard from media asking me about the letter to withdraw. That must be the task team. I just laughed it off because Section 207 gives me a mandate and the responsibility to do policing in the province. And then you talk about the interference, and then you said you phoned the National Commissioner who was on leave at the time. So General, I just want to, I'm pointing this out to you and I'm just asking for your comment because this is on the 5th of March. You make these allegations against the minister. You spoke earlier, and General Khumalo spoke earlier about the political task team. And here you raise what are clearly red flags. What did you expect the Portfolio Committee or Parliament to do anything about it when you said these things before the committee?
Honorable Chair and members, as I said again, when we appeared before the Portfolio Committee, we wanted to bring to attention of our leaders, the leaders of government, that things are not well within crime intelligence. Things happened in 2011 that we know of. Myself, the National Commissioner, General Khumalo, were exposed to that. We became victims as a result. Similar things are happening now while we are still in the organization and holding this position that we are having. And something needs to be done, but nothing is happening. So we are bringing it to attention of the Portfolio Committee for them to know, take note of this, and hopefully do something about it. Obviously, we can't tell the Portfolio Committee what to do, but the mere fact that the National Commission made the remarks at the beginning, I make the similar remarks, it should concern a leader. It says that you can't have two senior officers in the South African Police Service talking about the problems within the space and don't invite them to elaborate more on these things and get to find out exactly if they are able to deal with it, what is the status, if not, why not? So that we get to know, but nothing happens. And instead, we see some of the members of the same Portfolio Committee participating in the very same deficiencies that we are complaining about. That was a concern.
So would it be fair to say that given what appears to be a lack of response or failure to respond to what one can call your pleas at that meeting on the 5th of March, there was your letter to the minister, or rather your WhatsApp to the minister, 4th of April. There was the awards day in late January, where you also expressed a lot of frustration. Did all that inform your decision to do the media briefing on the 6th of July?
Yeah, that's correct. When you go to the different structures of government, one, you are frustrated within the legal system, which the judiciary seems to be playing a role. Yes, I did not escalate this personally myself to the Chief Justice within judiciary to the complaint, although there were some other complaints that were leveled against some of the presiding officers in different areas where they're working. But I tried to reach out to the executive authority, which is another arm of government, through the National Commission to plead with the National Commission to approach the president about this. And nothing seems to be working. And one then approaches the last part of government, lack of government, which is Parliament, through the Portfolio Committee. You talk about things of concern that are happening within the space in the presence of the executive authority. But it just pulls a cold water on it and nothing happened. So once you realize that, okay, that means almost everywhere you're trying, nothing seems to work, then tell the people that placed you and put their trust on you about the challenges that you're experiencing. And those are South Africans. And it is the South Africans, I believe, that brought me to sit here today, and all of us. Had we not done that, we wouldn't be here.
So the 6th of July was a last resort?
That was the last one.
Thank you. There's just two aspects I want to deal with. Let me deal with the last one first, because the other one may be controversial. can I ask you to look at, we asked you to give some forward-looking or to propose some forward-looking measures to strengthen the police service, which is part of our terms of reference or the committee's terms of reference. Honorable Chair and honorable members, it's at page 31 and 32 of the General's affidavit at paragraph 65, 65.1 through to, 65.5. Honorable Chair, the affidavit is obviously part of the record. Can I ask General, is there anything specific that you want to comment on or highlight in any of these measures and recommendations which appear from 65.1 to 65.5?
Yeah, well, I think everything is there as it stands, but will maybe as an addition, although not written here, I hope that the ad hoc committee, through the Joint Standing Committee of Intelligence, task the state security of this country to conduct a thorough counterintelligence investigation on the role of the media in this country, and specifically specific journalists that are working. Most of them, I've seen they're publishing, as I said, it's not a media house, but journalists. Some of them, they write for, I think, Sunday Times or City Press, one of those newspapers. But I know one of them, some of them write for News 24. Not long ago, most recently, Honorable Chair and honorable members, the Inspector General of Intelligence was requested to conduct an investigation on the purchase of properties within crime intelligence. And that is within the domain of the Joint Standing Committee of Intelligence. It is my understanding, from what I gather, that the report that will have been produced supposed to be within the Inspector General of Intelligence. It's supposed to be confined to the Minister of the Environment responsible, and it's supposed to be confined to the committee, the Joint Standing Committee of Intelligence. But in this few days back, that report was published by News 24 journalist. It's a classified document, and that talks about properties within the secret service account. So the question is, how does the journalist get hold of such? Who then gave the journalist that? I'm using this as an example. It's not the only one. There's a number of them, When a member of the Portfolio Committee on Police says openly in public that while he's sitting in his office, whatever, there's a magic paper that appears underneath his door, classified document. And that leads him into go and open a case. It needs to be investigated, Honorable Chair, honorable members, because the records, the control register, the Office of the Inspector General of Intelligence will prove that the Office of the Inspector General of Intelligence has been an operational center that has been used to counter this criminal investigation happening in Gauteng. The control register in that office for people to come in and out will give evidence of people that have been visiting that office, including the honorable member, Mr. Adams, who traveled there. The member in the Office of the Inspector General of Intelligence, Advocate Governor, should be invited, Honorable Chair, to come before this Adhoc Committee, if I were to recommend, where she is going to come and tell you about the experience and the horrible things happening in that office. that the member, Mr. Adams, is the one who came with a classified document and presented it before the Inspector General of Intelligence to request Inspector General of Intelligence to conduct investigations on things. The members of IDEC have been frequenting the office of the Inspector General of Intelligence where things were plotted against these members of crime intelligence. So it's an experience we had with the late former advocate Khadebe, who was an Inspector General of Intelligence 2011-2012, of how that office been manipulated. These which are referenced to on the 5th of March during my appearance. The similar things are happening today. Crime intelligence has been doing a lot of bad things, and the bad things are brought to the attention of the Inspector General of Intelligence and supposed to end up with the Joint Standing Committee so the people are held accountable for the wrong. Honorable Chair, honorable members, people will say Mkhwanazi is very insensitive, but when we talk the honest truth, we must tell the truth. The country was in pain to listen to how much of money was spent at the former president's house, homestead, at Tingatla, because there was an accountability that was happening at the time. But this government has never paid attention on the amount of expenditure that was incurred by crime intelligence over years. Interrogate that within the Secret Service account, the misuse of the Secret Service account. Obviously, the Joint Standing Committee is supposed to do that. It's disturbing when reports supposed to be presented to such structures to hold people accountable. That thing happens to it. We are sitting today, the country is in mourning because we lost one of our ambassadors in France. But then ambassador was a minister of police. As you switch on the television and you watch the homestead of the former minister of police, you're going to see a very big wall, perimeter wall, that was built by the money from crime intelligence. But nobody was held accountable for such, and the reports are there. So 2011, we're experiencing all these things. It's members from crime intelligence that takes the money out of crime intelligence to use them to take control of the executive authority. The minister never asked for the wall. The members from crime intelligence took the money, secret fund account, to make that wall so they can get control of the minister. So tomorrow they can then loot that money on their own. Then the minister can't say anything. It's the same thing brings us here today. Minister of Police, Minister Mkhwanazi, was made to sign a letter by the raw people within the organization. They might have done something to him. He signs a letter, he committed himself, and today is in trouble because of that. Had he not signed that letter, he would not have been here. So some of the executive officials or authorities that are arriving in the South African Police Service, they had no bad intentions. But the rogue within catches them. They take control of them and they do as they please after that. So as one of the things that I will recommend, Honorable Chair, defense intelligence, state security does not account to the open committees in Parliament. Perhaps we might want to start looking as Parliament on crime intelligence. They've got two accounts of budget that's allocated to them, open budget and the COVID budget. Every time when we come to Parliament, there's always this confusion as to what you say on this, what you don't say on that. Because there are questions that are coming from Parliament that talks about COVID issues. They should be discussed in another protocol committee, but they are expected to be discussed in this open committee. You can forgive some of the parliamentarian members, they don't know that. They're going to know about a house that was built or bought. They throw questions and they want you to explain that. They don't know that belongs in another committee. Although you have members of the Portfolio Committee of Police who deliberately, knowing, having taken an oath, that they will never divulge the secrets of the state in public. Members that are part of the Joint Standing Committee of Intelligence who are supposed to keep the secrets there. And if they ask questions, they must ask in that line. They don't ask questions. I mean, if I digress a bit, Commissioner, honorable members, the member of parliament that I referred to before went out in the public and said, no, when I asked these questions, there was no Joint Standing Committee of Intelligence. And the member asked me to apologize in the national TV. I told everyone else that told me about that I will apologize to the honorable member. I'm apologizing that the honorable member had forgotten the oath that she took. I forgot, I apologize for it. That she took an oath, that oath has got an expiry date according to her. That this one is valid only for the period when the Joint Standing Committee exists. When a Joint Standing Committee doesn't exist, that oath that she took, it expires. The honorable member that forget that she took an oath before South Africans in Parliament not to divulge the secret of government. And she forgot about the oath. I apologize for that she forgot that oath. And she asked the questions in February and the likes. But I must also apologize that the honorable member forgot that in April, May this year, she took an oath as a member of the Joint Standing Committee of Intelligence. But she still comes to the Portfolio Committee of Police and asks questions about the secret fund account. 3 questions that the police had to respond to her and say, sorry, ma'am, this does not belong here. The chairperson of the Portfolio Committee of Police knows that because I did share with him. This I shared because she denied the initial statement. Then I wanted to prove that it didn't only end there. I only made reference to some few things, not all. So there are many examples, Honorable Chair and members, that one can put, but amongst these recommendations that are put in here, one of them that maybe I didn't write is really to interrogate whether is it necessary for crime intelligence to account in an open committee? Perhaps that's where the problem comes from. Because state security don't hear much about this. Not to say things are hunky-dory that side. Defense intelligence don't hear anything about this. But crime intelligence always in the middle. Why? It's because you have a portfolio committee of police that holds them accountable. So perhaps the budget must just be moved covertly, all of it, so that it goes to one committee, Joint Standing Committee, being handled there. Whether good or bad, but it is regarded as a covert fund completely. So that is one of the additions if I were to include Honorable Chair and Honorable members on these recommendations. But maybe to narrate on some of those that are here, Honorable Chair and members, I had requested on the first one that the South African Police Service senior management, and I hope the honorable members know where the senior managers in the police start from, is brigadiers and higher. Once you become a brigadier and higher, at least there must be a lifestyle audit that is conducted to all of us. And it must not be a once-off thing. And it must not be done by the police. The committee might want to find an independent entity to do that, and the report be given to a chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Police, and then it can be elevated to Parliament. But basically, the employment condition of a police officer needs to be conditional. It cannot be just a permanent thing. You come in, you work until you retire at 60, whether you are delivering or not delivering, whether you are rogue or not rogue, you just enjoy a salary every single day. We have to review that. So lifestyle audit is what I'm calling for. We all must be subjected to that, so that you get to understand, where does Mkhwanazi get the money to buy the suit? Can he afford it? And many other things that we have as police management. And I will also request that perhaps the committee, Adhoc Committee through Parliament, really look at the vetting process or the employment condition in the police, because I don't know if honorable members knows the levels of vetting. You have confidential things, you have secret things, you have top secret, and those different levels. It is a given thing to say everyone must be given a top secret, and I don't think it's classified. What is it that this country regards as a top secret? And therefore, who must have access to it? Because the moment you regard something as a top secret, it means it's something that if you reveal that to the public, it's got a potential of undermining the security of the state. It must be highest level of order that you can get, top secret. So it can't be everyone that gets it. When you come and look at the police, how many people that were expected to get top secret, some of them you really ask yourself a question, is it necessary? Does this person really have to get into the top secret? There's no classification, categorization of this post level, a post that the person is occupying and what type of classification must be there. So I think there's a standard that needs to be set. And this vetting to be done prior to the employment of a person. Honorable Chair and members, I like what SIU is doing. They vet people coming in, and if they pick up something in between, they're subjected to vetting again. So their risk management in terms of corruption is a little bit better than ours as a South African Police Service. So we might want to learn something from what they do and also adopt the same. So I'm going to invite that perhaps the members assist in terms of reviewing the employment condition of police officers in the legislation. The DPCI legislation was amended to say any member of the Hawks that comes in must go through this process. People like myself, I'm not subjected to that. In a matter of fact, Honorable Chair and Honorable members, majority of us don't even have those security clearance certificates. The reason being, there's manipulation in the police. The people that are controlling this vetting, they will make sure they don't give it to you. For whatever reason, they will hold it back. So you then have the security clearance certificate that valids for 5 years. After 5 years, it expires. You subject yourself for another one, and it takes another 3-4 years before they give you a certificate. By the time they give you a certificate, you're supposed to be going for the third assessment. And so there's no consistency in terms of how we're doing it as a South African Police Service. That's why I'm calling for an independent body somewhere to come and do this vetting in the police so that we can mitigate the manipulation of the process, and also to include it in the legislation as a part of the employment condition of police officers. On 655, Honorable Chair and members, you'll forgive me on this one, but as I've worked most of my life as part of the operator in the task force, crowd management, as well as in different environments that I work for in the police. When you plan for an operation, you need to identify a risk and put plans in place. You cannot go and target, go to a specific target without identifying what risk. There could be a river that takes you there. So we must know how to cross that river. There could be dogs in there. You must know how to neutralize those dogs before you get to your target inside. When you go into a building, you might find the building, there's a lot of, you're looking for drugs inside. There are a lot of pipes in around that building. You don't secure those pipes. They're going to flush everything down the pipe. By the time you get in the building, you get nothing. Those are the risks that you have to put in place, risk management to put in place. We are coming from the old days. I'm not saying that we must copy what is there in the old days, but before the SAPS became a service, it was a force. It was SAP without an S. But the SAP was a government entity that was assisted by the Homeland Security. So we had different policing agencies in the country that were running. All these police agencies merged in 1995, and they formed this, what we are referred to now as South African Police Service. And in merging all this fragmentation that was there on Homeland, which was allowing some control to some degree to be managed at different areas, be it Northwest, be it Limpopo, be it Eastern Cape, KZN, and so forth. There was some level of control over the law enforcement in those regions. When we merged in 1995, we got rid of that. We put everything together, and then we changed the constitution. We said, one cabinet member is the boss, and one man or woman as a national commission is a boss. And we ended it there. Then we'll say that the provincial commission will be appointed by this one person in charge. So we've put so much powers over one person. The national commission of the police has got so much powers in the country. So much powers. That's why there was a plan of removing the national commissioner now, so they put someone else, because the person has so much powers. He can launch any case against anyone if he wants to. So to mitigate that, Honorable Chair and Honorable members, we really might need to revisit that section of the Constitution and ask ourselves a question. In 1994, when we came together, the population of the country was not this big. When we came together and we joined these 11 agencies together to form the SAPS, the numbers of the members in the organization were not this big. We have doubled the number. We are close to 200,000 employees. It's the biggest government department that is controlled by one person. Budget is billions of rand that are allocated to the SAPS. This is an institution that has got a responsibility over the lives of more than 100 million people, because we say in the Constitution, South Africa belongs to all those who live in it. So you count the 68 million South Africans, you count the foreign nationals that are here legally, and those that are illegally in the country. It belongs to all of them. The police must provide safety on them. So when you look at this, it's a responsibility given to one individual. And one way or another, there's going to be cracks. The controls are not going to be intact. A national commissioner comes up almost every 5 years. He arrives in, he comes up with a different strategy, he changes the structure. And the structure gets implemented halfway in his contract. And just before you acclimatize to the new structure, his contract ends, another one comes in. And they start afresh, a restructuring. We've been restructuring, Honorable Chair and members, ever since I could remember. Because there's a new boss, new sheriff in town, he changes the structure, a new sheriff in town changes the structure. So we might want to really look at that section of the Constitution that says we are centralized at the national office to figure out, taking examples from first world countries, how can we come up with a model that is going to allow the national, call it federal if you will, but the national priority crimes or national capacity that is going to have a footprint across the country to deal with specific crimes. And then you allow the provinces to some degree to prosecute certain, investigate and finalize certain cases within their level. And then don't hold the National Commission to be worried about the prosecution of an assault case that happened here at Gugulethu. Because the National Commission must account for this assault at Gugulethu from Pretoria. But you have a provincial commissioner that can take responsibility for that. And the provincial government that is voted by the people in this province that must account on the policing. So you find this gray area. That's why you're going to notice, honorable members, every time we release crime stats, some provinces have their own crime stats release, others don't. Because there's no standard set. The other provinces feel that they must take responsibility for policing. The others say policing is a national responsibility, it's not ours. And yet the crime happens in those communities. So it is just my small recommendation. I'm not a member of parliament. I don't have authority over amending the Constitution. I felt that maybe I must put this recommendation, controversial or however we can call it, but we were there before. We had Homeland Security, and we won't be the first one in the world to try and decentralize somehow. There are many institutions in different countries that are operating like that. But that is only informed by the risk management because of what I've seen, what's happening. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So, General, the last topic you have already touched on, and these are allegations pertaining to members of parliament, which you deal with at paragraph 53, and more specifically in relation to Ms. Diane Kohler-Barnard from paragraphs 54 onwards. And it goes through to paragraph 60.3 on page 30.
Yes, sir. Those are the matters that I was referring to, which is why maybe if the honorable members will go to the annexures on the documents and you start reading from NSM 13, 14, and 15 on number 238, 239, and 240 respectively. You're going to see on the annexure, the annexure is written at the top corner, is written to right corner. Is NSM 13. Yes, towards the end of the annexations. Honorable Chair and honorable members, I want to give this as a classic example. That's why I was apologizing on behalf of Ms. Kohler-Barnard that she had asked me in public that I must apologize. That she forgot that she's a member of, she was a member of the Portfolio or Joint Standing Committee of Intelligence, therefore she should have known about this. On 238 NSM 13, there was a question from Parliament that was talking about the procurement of properties within the South African Police Service crime intelligence. And the response to this question was that this matter must be referred to the Joint Standing Committee on Intelligence, which has an oversight responsibility over intelligence. That is one. If we move to the next page, and that one, question number 326 that came from Parliament in February, on the 14th of February. The second question, honorable members, on 239 and NSM 14, question 3617. This question was asked in June this year. And in June this year, Ms. Kona Barnard was sworn in as a member of the Joint Standing Committee of Intelligence. She asked this question, and here she wanted to know about the investigation report that was undertaken by Inspector General of Intelligence. I don't want to say this perhaps is part of, is that report that ended up being spoken about by News 24, but here's a question in Parliament asking about the report, and News 24 writes about that report. They put that report out publicly. So she was asking about this report, whether the minister will finish her with a copy of this IG report and the findings thereof, and whether the report and findings implicated senior SAPS officials in any suspected criminal activity, and whether SAPS members are currently under criminal investigation in relation to the specific matter. Again, the response on this by the National Commission was that it is recommended the question be referred to the Joint Standing Committee on Intelligence as it relates to the sensitive matters that are dealt with by the JCI as the Parliamentary Oversight Committee of the country's intelligence services. I invite you to another question, Honorable Chair and honorable members. The question number 3409, the same question that comes from Ms. Kola Barnard. These questions were written to the police as part of the Portfolio Committee of Police, which is dealing with open account. And these questions are asked by the person who's already taken an oath at the Joint Standing Committee of Intelligence, but she's asking in the wrong committee about this. Exactly what I had said at Madlanga, that she took things that belong somewhere else and she put it somewhere else. So these are the evidence. Honorable Chair, honorable members, this question 3409 is asking specifically about the buildings that crime intelligence have purchased. And she wants to know the details about that. And the period that she's referring to is a period when General Khumalo was in the office, which is a 2023-2024 financial year, and the years subsequent to that. And she asked whether the Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure was approached about using buildings which are already owned by the state. And she also wanted to know where the building is going to be used for. She wants to know, through the open committee, what is crime intelligence going to use these buildings for in each province. The response, again, Honorable Chair, honorable members, from the National Commissioner, which is dated the 28th of June, just a week before my public address, that given that the question relates to sensitive matters, it is recommended that this matter be referred to the Joint Standing Committee on Intelligence, the Parliamentary Oversight Board in respect of all intelligence services, including the Crime Intelligence Division of the South African Police Service. Honorable Chair and honorable members, this is just but, I repeat, this is just but an examples of the things that we're putting before you. There's other evidence that we have in our disposal that we don't think it's necessary to put them here because they belong to the Joint Standing Committee of Intelligence. I've said it before, that examples we're going to cite a few. We cite example, the member goes to the media and challenges us, and we have to then provide further examples. Honorable Chair and honorable members, I've said it before when I presented at the commission, which is my statement is a reference to, that crime intelligence have got their own ways of operations that don't 100% conform to the norm that we all know and understand. How they acquire a facility, they do not acquire a facility through public works. And Honorable Konapanat knows that because she's been in this committee for that long. The crime intelligence have been leasing buildings as safe houses. They've been leasing properties. And some of these properties, Honorable Chair and members, and I'm not inviting you to go deeper to finding out because it's not within your space, it's within the Joint Standing Committee. But you will be shocked of some of these properties that we've been leasing as a South African Police Service, crime intelligence. Who do they belong to, number one? And whether they are used for what they are leased for. In government in general, the lease, it's a public works responsibility. But crime intelligence has been leasing buildings from as far back as I could remember. And there's never been issues about that. The matter of fact, Honorable Chair and members, some of the members within crime intelligence have benefited from the leasing of their own facilities to crime intelligence. The same members that are feeding the members of Parliament as if the purchase of this property is irregular. I've said it before, I don't work at crime intelligence. If the purchase of properties is irregular, then definitely the head of crime intelligence and the National Commission must be held accountable. If they broke the law, they must be held accountable, but hold them accountable on the correct structure of government. Don't misplace it. Don't go to the media and talk about it and grandstand about it. Take it to the Joint Standing Committee and say, I demand that there must be accountability here because this is done wrong. And then for sure, that action is going to be taken. But if you're going to take it out of that structure into another platform, and you make allegations that are unfounded about the members of crime intelligence, the risk with that, which I repeat before this committee, is that the members of crime intelligence are going to be forced to defend themselves. And the only best way to defend themselves is to speak the truth. And when they come with the truth, majority of you will not be able to stomach it. This country is going to burn. Because there are top secret things that should not be discussed in public life. So if you make the members look bad, they're going to counter the human beings. They've got families, they've got friends. They've been paraded as criminals in front of international TV. They were paraded when they were arrested. They were branded as bad people by these members of this committee, of this parliament, some of them. They kept quiet. But they know the truth. They have evidence, Honorable Chair, conventional or otherwise that they have, which if they were to present it, it would be a press briefing that would be worse than what Mkhwanazi did. So I needed to prevent that by warning that let's not hold back and allow that the very same executive authorities, parliamentarians, participate in the wrong. Honorable Chair, if you were to ask me, I will say maybe we must close down crime intelligence, remove everyone that is there, and start afresh, if you will. Because I know names within crime intelligence that are bad. They were there in 2011. They are still there today. We have family members of the Mdlulis of this world that are still controlling gadgets that are listening to all of you at crime intelligence. And that's what Kumar is trying to fix. What does he get in return? No, leave this thing alone. You are the bad one. And other members are comfortable because, yeah, well, not going to talk about benefits that comes with it. So Honorable Chair, members, you'll forgive me, but I feel that these things that we've put on this statement is just a tip of the iceberg. Go to the media tomorrow, Honorable Member, and say things again. I'm going to come with another evidence. That's my submission.
Thank you. Thank you very much, General Mkhwanazi. Again, sorry for the delayed start and for the long session that you've had to endure for the day. And we thank you very much again for your evidence, for your cooperation. Thank you, Honorable Chair and Honorable
I-
members.
I want to give the general 10 minutes to repeat the last part that I was looking at your faces when he was presenting the last part, but okay, it's fine. Honorable members, let me check before I thank the senior counsel and the general. I want to check with you, honorable members. Are there any hands? Chief Whip. Okay, let me do this. From the NCs, it's that hand. MKP, do you want to speak?
Yes.
How many of you? One. One. Okay. DA? You don't. EFF? Okay. IFP? Must I note you? Okay, because I see it's like the hand. PA?
Covered, Chair, thanks.
Oh, okay, so we have those four hands, honorable members. There is not going to be any member who's going to be triggered by what others would have said. Chief Whip, Honorable Skosana. Is it Skosana or Yonombalo? Okay. And then Honorable Mwango. Yeah, it's 3 in fact instead of 4. Can we take them in that order? Can we start, Chief Whip?
No, thanks, Chair. I think, I'm not going to do what is supposed to be done by you to thank anyone in this meeting today. But I think that in the light of the concluding statement that the general has made, I think that a matter naturally arises, which we've discussed in one of our meetings, about the fact that as the Adhoc Committee, as members of the Adhoc Committee, one of the important things that we have to safeguard and do so jealously is the integrity and the reputation of the Adhoc Committee of Parliament. We recognize the fact that we did not establish ourselves. We were forwarded in this committee by the parties that we represent in Parliament, and therefore, as a consequence of which, constituted into the committee. Now, we raised this matter as the African National Congress in one of our virtual meetings, and I think it's important to raise it even when all of us are here, so that it's understood that it's a matter of principle as opposed to some kind of witch hunt. Now, General Mkhwanazi has presented to us here and kept on making references to members of Parliament. But one of us has been specifically fingered out on the report. And I would imagine that if you ask me, it would be fair that the member who is being fingered out the way that has been done here today should equally at some point have an opportunity to state her side of the story on this matter. Now I'm raising this matter, Chair, because this member is a member of this committee. And I think we need to help each other as committee members. As I said on that day, that it may very well be that it's not the majority of South Africans who are worried about the fact that some among us are implicated in some of these serious allegations. But the fact of the matter is that we have an obligation to strive to ensure that as much as possible, we enjoy the confidence of the entirety of the South African population, including those that may be in the minds of others, a small minority that may be concerned about any of us being implicated in what is being discussed here. Now, Chair, I want to conclude by saying, therefore, in this context, I think we need to place it formally as the African National Congress that it is our considered view that the member concerned, Honorable Diana Kola-Barnett, and the party she represents must properly reflect on this reality and act in a manner that protects the integrity of this process and Parliament in general. Because it's our considered view that to proceed as if we have not had anything today. Now the general is before us and he has made a presentation. It will constitute a dereliction of duty on our part as members of this committee. And we are convinced as the ANC that it cannot be allowed to proceed without any comment about what needs to be done. So we would like the DA and the member concerned, starting with the member, to consider withdrawing her membership from the committee to protect all of us. But we equally want to persuade the Democratic Alliance, which has got 87 members in this parliament, that it can't just be about one member when the reputation of the committee in its entirety is at stake. So that is the first issue that I wanted to raise, Chair. The other issue, I don't know whether you want me to raise it here and now, or I must suggest it in the morning. It has to do with our thinking about how we should manage the proceedings tomorrow. If and when, as it was agreed, the proceedings are going to be entirely about what we as members of the committee are now asking the general. So you can guide me whether I should make that suggestion now, or you might have had something in your mind about how to handle that process, maybe now or in the morning.
Okay, let me hear the other two speakers. I will be making a decision whether I should rotate amongst members to hear what their views are. Honorable Skosana.
Thank you, Chair, once again. I just want to concur with the Chief Whip of the largest party. I've said this before as well in our meeting. Before General Mkhwanazi gave us the evidence as well with us here, because we had this anyway. But we didn't say anything about it. We ask that the honorable member must recuse herself. Now, we are here today. The general has given us a little bit of context about exactly what happened. And he said vividly that he doesn't want to go deeper. But he has a lot. If he's challenged, he will reveal more, which might not be for the benefit of this country. This Adhoc Committee is not challenged by anybody in court. The Madlanga Commission, as we speak, we've challenged it as Mkondo Wesizwe Party. The appointment of the acting Minister of Police, the suspension of the suspension or special leave, which President Ramaphosa placed Mkhunu on leave, is still challenged. The Constitutional Court has referred us back to the High Court. And it's 50-50, anything can happen. Even though we know that the judiciary, I don't want to get to reveal more as well on that. But this committee, the Adhoc Committee, is not in any court. And let's avoid that. Let the honorable member do the noble thing and recuse herself. The DA, as the chief whip of the largest party has said, they've got many members. They can nominate anyone. But for us to go and sit here, especially after this explosive revelation by General Mkhwanazi once again. My colleague earlier said that he doesn't want us to find ourselves at the end of this Adhoc Committee. On the review, we have found one thing. So let's do the right thing. I thank you, Chair.
Chair, can I rise on a point of order?
Oh, okay.
General Mkhwanazi has led his evidence in chief. It's only fair that you close his evidence in chief and release him and raise these matters that you are raising. Because what does General Mkhwanazi have to do with this kind of discussion we're having? He has made his input. He has told us he will give us more if we challenge him and all of that. His evidence in chief is done. Please release him if you want us to get involved in this kind of discussion. It's not done. That a witness gives evidence and then immediately a committee gets into a discussion as to how do we evaluate that evidence and take a decision. Where have you ever had that? We cannot convert this into a kangaroo court and be unfair to the witness. He has made his points. Please thank him and release him. And if the chief whip of the majority party wants us to remain, because there is an urgent matter, we remain and discuss it in public, not even in private. Have this discussion in public, but not in the middle of the evidence in chief of the general. Close the general's evidence in chief and let's have this discussion. We did not raise hands because we thought people are doing something else which has got to do with general. We are now on general. Whatever input you give when he has taken a stand, it must be directed to him. And anything outside that, now you are putting two people on the stand. General Mkhwanazi is still on the stand, and honorable member is in a way being put again on the stand. At the same time with General Mkhwanazi. General Mkhwanazi gave us what he needed to give us. It's up to us to take a decision after we released him and thank him. I think it's procedurally fair. Don't open a debate of what needs to happen with members who are implicated in the middle of an evidence in chief. Thanks, Chair.
No. Honorable members, I noted, no, just hold. I will give you a chance to speak. I noted 3 hands. That is the hand of Honorable Ntuli and Honorable Skosana. The last person is Honorable Mwango. It may be unfair, Honorable Malema, if we release the general without knowing what Honorable Mwango wants to ask. And then we will then make a decision on the inputs of the 2 members. So let's give Honorable Mwango a chance. Maybe there are matters that he wants to clarify with the general. Yeah. Thank you for that understanding.
Well,
Honorable Mwango.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Good evening. Well, on reflection, I have actually decided that these matters that I wanted to raise can actually be raised, adequately tomorrow. So therefore, I want to withdraw and actually thank the opportunity that you had given me. Thank you.
Your hand was up, Honorable Noval.
No, Chair, I was going to say that what has been raised by the chief whip of the ANC has actually provoked our thoughts. So we have a huge interest in what he has raised. And I was going to second the proposal that let's thank General Mkhwanazi and be left here as the committee members to deal with housekeeping issues, but in public, not privately. Thank you.
Yes, in fact, what the two of you, Honorable Malema and yourself, is that we must release him as a witness. But as a South African, he still has a right, if he so wishes, to sit that side of the gallery. But what we do is to release him as a witness. Honorable members, on your behalf, let me take this opportunity and thank Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi, the Provincial Commissioner of the SAPS in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, for the time that you created to be with us. Let me tell you, at some point, we discussed as a committee in your absence when you had the dilemma whether you must be here or you must be at the commission. And we went back to the committee, we gave them a report about the letter which you have written to us that you want to cooperate with the committee. Unfortunately, you find yourself in a situation where you can't divide yourself into two halves. One half be with the ad hoc committee and one half be with the commission. And we want to thank you from that moment up to the point where you came before our legal team to do consultations. You were here this morning when we started. We had our own incipient challenges, but you were patient with us. The committee sent me to come and meet with you to apologize for the mishaps that would have happened this morning, and I haven't had any misgivings or any qualms on your part, and I want to heartily, on behalf of this committee, thank you for your humility, the endurance that you have shown to stay the course here until the point where we are here, we are concluding the evidence that you have presented before us here. We hope to be with you again tomorrow so that you can come and have a field day with the members and whatever questions they may want to raise with you. And what we will do tomorrow is to ensure that the same atmosphere that we had today between you and the senior council should still prevail. The members have said it's their agreement that questions must be fully answered and satisfactorily. I can assure you there will not be any emotions. All of us are about this country, South Africa, in which we all belong. And I hope that honorable members will have enough time to do reflections and come here tomorrow prepared to raise any issue that they feel is in the best interest of the people of South Africa. For that, I want to thank you so much for availing yourself. You are the head of the police services in that province, is the second largest province in the Republic. 1 minute away from that province is a concern in terms of spiraling crime statistics in the country, but you still gave yourself a chance to be with us here because you feel that you can play a role in the renewal and ensuring the safety of the South African society. Lieutenant General, we have come to the end of today's proceedings with you as a witness. But like I've said, as a South African, you have that imprescriptible right to join fellow South Africans on the gallery in the event you may wish to follow the proceedings of the committee. We are resuming at 9 o'clock tomorrow at this venue, yes. So we want to thank you so much and all the best.